Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crowded Booth Live. We're here on a Tuesday evening, the Tuesday after the Masters. What a Masters it was. I know all of us got to talk a little bit about it. We're going to skip past what we did this weekend because we know what Will did. It's the same story every Tuesday, and we know what Ralph did. It's the same story until he gets to work in the weekdays. So that's okay. Well, we thank you for joining us, whether you're watching over on Twitter, Facebook, Twitter with Periscope, Facebook, or YouTube. Make sure if you're on YouTube, Jackson Gordy, to hit the subscribe button and hit notifications so you don't have to text Ralph when the shows start because it will tell you notifications when we're going live. So we do appreciate everyone tuning in, and we're excited to bring you another action-packed episode. But first off, guys, we have our question of the day that we're going to have to talk about. What is a movie that you can watch over and over? I need to go edit that because we messed that up. But what is a movie that you can watch over and over again? Ralph, I'm going to let you go first here.
Oh, I mean, so I have a lot of favorite movies, obviously, but one movie I can just watch over and over again is Mark Wahlberg and Shooter. If you've never seen it, I'm sorry. It's one of my favorite movies just because I've always enjoyed that movie. I think my dad and I have watched it probably about 30 times together. It's just if it's on TV, I'm watching it. I don't care what else is on TV.
Sports game, doesn't matter what's on TV. That's the movie that you're watching. Shooter. That's a good one. Mark Wahlberg, that's a very good option. Will, for you, what movie, if it's playing, you are sitting in front of the couch and you're watching it no matter what?
I'm a huge comedy fan, huge Will Ferrell fan, so it's a tie for me. Step Brothers or Talladega Nights. You can watch them whenever they're on and laugh like it's the first time I've ever watched the movies.
That's a really tough decision. I may have to give the up to Step Brothers. Just because both movies have so many quotable lines, but Step Brothers is a really good one. For me, this one is seemingly always on TV, so I always watch it. And it started off because my dad always sits down and watches it, and so I followed suit. Shawshank Redemption. Literally could watch that movie. It's such a great movie. Great storyline if you've never seen it. It's an older movie, I guess, for our age group, but not necessarily other people. But fantastic film. So, yeah,
I would say it's old at this point. It was in the 90s.
Yeah, which is really weird to think about because even at this point, guys, Step Brothers. I mean, how long has Step Brothers been out?
Golly,
it was early 2000s. It was before Talladega Nights, right?
2008.
It was 2008.
13 years.
Okay. Wow.
13 years.
Yeah.
So late 2000s.
No doubt. It is. It's a fantastic. Those are just great movies. Like you could sit down and watch them, the storyline. And I'm also a comedy fan, so I think I got it with you. And then obviously Ralph, Shooter's a fantastic movie. It's a fun movie to watch as well. We got some comments already. Drew Haywood, Major League. Drew, that's a fantastic. Major League is a great movie, especially with the start of baseball. I think we talked about some of the best baseball movies, and that kind of came up in the conversation of one of the top ones. So we appreciate you commenting. Make sure to throw your comments in there. I'm trying to think. Would you rather watch a movie over and over again, guys, or is it TV show? Like, is there a TV show that you could watch over and over again, or is it? Could you rather just sitting for 2.5 hours and watch a movie? Will?
Well, before The Office was pulled from Netflix, that was my background noise all the time, and I watched all the way through that show about 6 times. So if you need an Office quote, let me know. But I don't know. Now that it's off Netflix, and I don't have Peacock, so don't have access to it. So I would probably say movie now.
For me, movie, because obviously you can just throw in a movie, you can watch it. Now, there are certain TV shows, like what you said, Will, like my sense of humor, The Office is perfect for it. Like I could sit and watch The Office in laugh just as hard as I did the first time, and without any avail. Ralph, for you, are you more of the TV connoisseur, or are you going to sit? Are you more like a movie person?
I'd probably say TV. I've watched The Blacklist probably through about eight or nine times through all the way. Even when they had a new season, I'm watching the whole thing through again, so I don't forget anything. Obviously, I'm with y'all on The Office. I mean, who hasn't seen The Office? I feel like it's one of the best shows we've had in the past few years. So, mostly people in college that were our age, that's what everyone watched. So,
oh yeah, I remember sitting down with one of my good friends from college and watching it with him for the first time, and he was like, "This is amazing." We got some comments. Palmer Toms, who's sitting backstage right now, Caddyshack and Animal House, two of the dad's favorites that quickly became his.
There you go.
Oh my gosh! Now you talk about quotable lines. Animal House, arguably, and so for Caddyshack, we're waiting. There's that one, and then Animal House when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor. I mean, you have two of the most quotable lines, and I know there's some more in those two movies. And the Jackson Gordy Outer Banks in 8 times through. That's a show for me though. It's a very, very good show. So Jackson.
No, I had to get you on that show though. You
did.
You watched it and then you said it's not that good, and then you watched like 2 more episodes and you're like, all right, I'm hooked now. And then you're really into it.
I haven't watched a single episode.
It's cheesy, but it's like the right kind of cheesy. Like it's a cheesy show, but it's the right kind of cheesy.
It was the perfect show for when COVID hit.
The perfect show, yeah. I mean, they timed
it.
No. Tiger King.
Tiger King.
Okay.
I didn't watch
Tiger King. You missed out.
No,
that is Tiger King, which I know probably everybody's seen it. That is a train wreck that you can't look away from.
You cannot stop. I mean,
it gets more and more unbelievable as it goes through the whole story. It is incredible.
And is it weird to think a year ago we were all? I mean, yeah, I guess a year ago, or it was a little bit earlier now because we're into April, middle of April. But a year ago, I mean, that was the fad. Like people already planning out their Halloween costumes. I mean, and I'll tell you one thing. I mean, I kind of felt bad for Joe Exotic a little bit. I really did. I sided with Joe Exotic on a lot of those things.
This is a Joe Exotic stan.
This is a Joe. We are for Joe Exotic. We are for.
Did I use that term correctly? Can somebody in the comments?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, he's in prison, so I don't know if he's he did not get pardoned. But yes, anyways, so that's our question today. We always love having that. We got those comments. We appreciate those as well. We're going to talk with Palmer Toms a little bit about some things happening over in Athens. There's been a ton of stuff going on in the college landscape. But I think, Ralph, you pointed out Outer Banks, and you were talking about it, and I said the word cheesy. Something else that has been completely cheesy is MLB Replay. And that's just a nice way of putting it.
Boy.
Completely botches the call on national television. And guys, obviously the talking heads across all national media hit on this on Monday morning. I mean, that was the talk of the town. But I put out on Twitter, and I think it serves well for our conversation, is Braves fans need to understand you shouldn't be mad at the umpires on the field. They had to make that call in real time. And in real time, I may have made the same call. I mean, I really might have. The blame should be placed on New York. And I think a good friend of mine and a fan of the show, Hal Mansour, coming back, he said, completely agree. I think the biggest thing is there's no one for them to answer to. And I agree. Like, that is a fantastic point. So I want to kind of talk about this, and we'll talk a little bit about the Braves before we segue into some more content. But for you guys, I know we watched the game. We were able to see kind of what happened. There's so many angles. And we were all three playing golf yesterday. We talked about this. There's so many angles. And Will, when you see this, I mean, this might be, Ralph pointed out Armando Galarraga's perfect game, or no-hitter. Was it a perfect game? I think I remember. That was a big one. That was a big one. But when you look and see for this,
I remember the one that you talked about yesterday. Julio Lugo at home plate, Braves against the Pirates, in what
First off, Julio Lugo played for I still remember that yesterday. Michael McHenry at Turner Field. I don't know why I was up watching it, but anyways, guys, back to the question is, Will, have you ever seen a more egregious call? I mean, because Armando Galarraga cost him a perfect game, and that is, Ralph hit the nail on the head yesterday, that is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But in this situation, you had so many angles. And remember, Ralph, back to your point, they didn't have replay when Armando Galarraga. So at least they had replay for this. So, Will, have you seen a more egregious call on, that really decided the outcome of a game?
No. Well, in different sports.
Mm-hmm.
In different sports. But I don't like to talk about Auburn's Final Four game, but no, I mean it's been let's see, it is 7:26 p.m. on Tuesday. That's about what 40. We want to call it 45 hours since Sunday night, and Alec Bohm still has not touched home plate in Truist Park. It was horrible call. We even saw was it FanDuel or DraftKings refunded everybody that had Braves money line in that game. Everybody that bet money on the Braves to win refunded them their money because that call was so bad, and everybody in America was talking about how bad that call was. And like Hal said, New York, the replay umpires, whoever they are, because we've never seen them and we've never heard from them, they don't have to answer to anybody. And there definitely needs to be some more accountability. I think this shows that. And I think pretty much every Braves player that was asked, except for one, I don't know if we want to get into that, but handled it the right way. They answered the questions the right way. They were like, it's not on the umpires on the field because they got to make a call one way or another. The replay is there to help them when they blatantly miss a call like that one, and replay didn't help them out. And it, without a doubt, cost the Braves a game. And, I really did love Brian Snitker coming out of the dugout and arguing. By rule, he should have been ejected. He was trying to get ejected, trying to fire up the team to score another run. Reminded me of Bobby Cox a lot. But that just worst call I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think backs it up is the fact that we have replay. And I saw a lot of tweets out there. What was New York seeing? Because if there's a different angle that they saw, then we should be able to see that. You know what I'm saying? Like right. there should be, here's the actual call that we ruled it. Here's the angle that we saw that we made this viewpoint. And so I know NFL has, started to kind of do that with some of their social media channels. I don't know how much longer MLB Replay is going to have their Twitter account. I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, that social media person that runs the MLB Replay account, bless their heart. I mean, it is a nightmare for them to try to do that. But, Ralph, for you, I mean, you talked about Galarraga. That was a horrible call that cost a guy a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But, if they would have gone back to replay, they would have easily seen that was a perfect game. How bad is this for you? And, they say oftentimes it doesn't change the complexion of the game, but this one certainly did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously it's early in the season, so it's not that big of a deal because we still have 150 games left to play. But, and I'm thinking back a little bit, the 2012 wild card game when the Braves got cheated out on a fake infield fly rule that was called. And, we had replay back then, probably would have been maybe reversed, and we probably would have won that game. But it's so bad when you have people to do this job to see where the replay went wrong, where the call was wrong. They can change it over there, and they did not change it, and that's what just concerns me. I want to see where they thought that Bohm touched the plate. I don't think he did. I mean, like Will said, it's 45 hours, and he still didn't touch the plate. I mean, it's true. I mean, he never touched home plate. I mean, if he would have just stepped up, stood up and touched home plate after that, I might, okay, well, maybe he was safe. Who knows? But the whole call in general was terrible. I think the whole process of MLB taking care of the what they said about it was just terrible. They've done a terrible job this year on everything. Honestly, you're muted.
Yes, I think for Major League Baseball, they dropped the ball on this, guys. And I think when you look and see kind of how they've reacted to some certain things this season, it kind of looks like they're covering, the umpires. I mean, that's kind of how it looks. I mean, you even go back to a non-Braves game, Mets and Marlins, where Conforto obviously was hit by a pitch that was a strike, and the Mets won on that. I mean, the Marlins lost the game.
Home plate umpire was ringing him up.
Yeah.
He was calling strike three.
It's just I think it's an absolute dare I say it is an absolute travesty if this happens in a playoff game.
Joke.
I mean, if this happens in a postseason game, that's how you have to say. And hopefully Angel Hernandez is nowhere near the Braves in the playoffs because that would be a nightmare.
I'm almost starting to think Major League Baseball has it out against the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because they play in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Pulling the All-Star game and now just
like a political
straight pulling a game, taking a game from them on national TV. I'm just saying. You're just saying. I've never been a fan of replay, and this further cements it. I felt like a lot of times that the replay umpires in New York were only there to cover the umpires on the field. Very rarely do you ever see a call overturned unless it is just plain as day obvious, which the Alec Bohm play looked like it was plain as day obvious. But it has got to be, like they say in college football, inconclusive for MLB to overturn it. No gray area, which is how it should be. But a lot of times it seems like, I don't know the statistics on this, and I'm sure they're out there, but the replay umpires just side with whatever was called on the field.
Yeah, they need to be able to side, and I think you've got to make an impartial decision. That's the big thing, and I just didn't feel like there was necessarily impartial. But guys, let's move on and talk about a little bit about the Braves because, hey, they're kind of bouncing back after that slow start on the road. They come back, they win a series, or they do win a series against Washington. They're able to win the series and take that doubleheader, and then they take the series from Philadelphia. They did lose last night, but guys, I think this is a Braves team that's starting to see, quiet some of the early season doubters, which for good reason. This is a very talented team. We talked about it on the show last week. Ralph, I'll start with you. Have you been impressed, especially we'll talk about the man at the top of the lineup here in the next segment, but just this team, we've seen some good things from them. What have you liked so far?
I think Inoa. Oscar Inoa has pitched extremely well his past 2 outings. He had 10 strikeouts last night in 5 innings, which, for a guy who pitched, 3 or 4 appearances last year at most, and coming out this year strong. He battled all throughout spring training. He earned a spot on this roster and in this rotation, and he has proven to everyone that he can do this. And last night proved to me a lot more than I expected out of him. 10 Ks through 5 innings, and his first start of the season was in a doubleheader game against Steven Strasburg. You're talking about a World Series MVP, Steven Strasburg, and you go out there and you shove 5 or 6 innings against him, and you put yourself in contention for the win. Now, obviously, the Braves didn't score a run at the time, so he didn't get the win. But he has pitched extremely well for the Braves this year. I thought, he might be a bullpen arm for him, but he is making a case to be the 5th in the rotation right now.
Yeah, even with Ralph, Mike Soroka having that setback, there's going to be some guys who have a little bit more opportunity to kind of work their way in. Will, Ralph hit on Huascar Ynoa. For you, who's been a guy that you've had early on that's been kind of exciting to watch so far?
I'm going to jump ahead of the next segment. Ronald Acuna Jr. Yeah. He is playing at a completely different level. He looks like he's going for the MVP right now, the first week of the season. That ground ball, the shortstop he beat out to start the game on Sunday night, that's a tone setter. He is showing that he is a leadoff man that can hit like a cleanup guy, which we knew all along, but he's really playing like it now. and I think that's a really good thing to see because his effort, his hustle has been called into question, and it's good for him to quiet the doubts. Took him a few games, just like, the Braves, they start in Philly. They don't play very well. They get back home, and, they rake at Truist Park. They rake. And Acuna and Albies as well, both of them hitting home runs against the Phillies. Did Acuna hit one last night?
Almost hit one, but he seemingly hits one all over the park. You talked about that, Will?
I predicted that last night when we were playing golf. I picked Acuna to hit 5 home runs in the series against the Marlins because he rakes against the Marlins. He doesn't like the Marlins, and he's the hottest hitter on the team. He's over 400 right now, batting average. I know it's early. It's 12 games batting over 400, but he's raking.
He's absolutely raking.
What more can you say other than he's raking?
The Braves.
I think his play all over the field right now is what's showing. A lot of people right now is that that 1 year or 2 years ago in 19 when Snitker pulled him out for not hustling, I think that really changed his whole mindset of like, I really got to be this face, this guy who leads this team as the leadoff man. He's taking that role by the hands, and he's going with it. I think he is loving his new role, and he's a leader now. I think he, like Will said, he's a tone setter. He goes out there, hits a home run first play of the game, and you're looking like, okay, let's get fired up, let's win this game. So I like what he's done this year. I think he's extremely hot right now. I think he's going to carry this on until hopefully summertime, and maybe an MVP in the year. We don't know. Obviously, someone's going to get hot at one time, and it'll be back and forth all year long. So.
Yeah, I think this team is going to be carried by different players throughout the season. Obviously, Acuna is not going to bat 400 over 450 this season. It'd be impressed. But that's what's so talented about this team. They're really deep. They have guys that could carry the team. Freddie Freeman. when Freddie Freeman had a conversation with someone today who actually covers the team, and they said when Freddie Freeman, when you start to see him hit the gaps, he's starting to catch fire. And, I mean, he's still batting in the 100s, but the guy's got a couple of home runs to his credit already, 4 home runs already. So this is a team that's starting to pick up, and I think that's kind of bodes well for what the Braves are trying to do. Obviously, they're playing the Marlins this week, and then they're going to head back on the road. But guys, how good was it to see just fans? This past weekend, just watching the games and being able to see, the amount of fans that were in attendance and were so excited about it. Will, what was it like for you to hear crowd noise and to kind of see the reaction in real time?
It felt like a playoff game. I mean, I don't know if they had microphones pointed at the crowd to make them sound louder on TV, but it sounded like a playoff game. Mm-hmm. Very rarely during a regular season game does it get that loud. Even for the opening series of the season, does it get that loud? But it was awesome. It just shows the hunger that everybody's had for sports to be back, to really be back with fans in the stands.
Well, Ralph, I'm going to cut you off because I'm going to get you to a question right here that I want you to answer. Should Ozuna be benched by Bonsai Tree Guy 1? Should Ozuna be benched? I see a little smirk from our man who is in the waiting room on this one. No, Marcell Ozuna should not be benched. Listen, in order to be better, guys have got to get the opportunities, and just benching him does absolutely nothing.
Speaking of somebody that needs some opportunities,
oh God,
he's in AAA.
Yeah,
and if you bench Ozuna,
he's not in. He's at
the alternate side. Sorry, you bench Ozuna, gives Johan Camargo a chance to come back and get some more at bats, get some more reps. You can slide Riley back to left field, put Camargo at third.
Okay, all right. So we're going to play it like that show that we all love on the 4-letter ESPN network. Rack Willie, Acuna right now the MVP favorite. Will, I'll bring you at this. I would say so. And I don't know the odds. Right now, how he started the season, first 2 weeks. Obviously, Ralph, like you said, it's way too early to tell, but we'll have to see out there. And then should we call up Drew Waters? This is going to be a conversation that I think is going to be kind of heating up, especially with how Drew Waters fares. Now, obviously, all minor leagues are going to start on May the 4th. That is when the season starts. So if Ender Inciarte does not contribute the way they want him to, I guess, then maybe they feel like, or if the Braves decide to go back to a 5-man bench. Right now they just have the 4-man bench, and that could be something that they decide to do depending on who plays well. Tell you one thing, Drew Waters is up there, but there's a lot of talented outfielders in this Braves system, and one that impressed a bunch of people in spring training was Michael Harris.
Hey, should we bench Ozuna? He just hit a 2-run homer.
Bonsai Tree Guy 1. There's your answer, my friend.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
my answer.
If he could throw, harder than 77 miles an hour, Alec Bohm would have been out by 5 feet.
Oh, good Lord.
But if we're I want to talk about Drew Waters real quick. That has to do, like Bryce said, with Ender Inciarte. I mean, he's the 4th outfielder. There's no doubt about it. I'm a little worried about his arm. Does he still have the arm strength? Because he hasn't played a ton because he's been injured, and last year was a weird year. If his arm strength is gone too, then I don't know what much value he has, because he would be an upgrade just with his arm to go into left field and spell Marcell Ozuna late in the game. And if he doesn't have that, then you probably got to give Waters a look.
Yeah, you probably have to give Waters a look, and I think that's the biggest thing is what kind of happens. Obviously, the minor league season, like I said, doesn't start till May. Let's say that he has a really hot May. The Braves get to June 1st, and they don't feel like they really have a great option. You could see some guys really pressing the service, and I know Drew Waters would be one that would be really exciting because he's got some good speed out there, does Waters, and so that'd be a good option, late inning option for the Braves. So obviously Atlanta's playing right now. You should have that on the screen next to you if you're watching us, and tune in. As Ralph said, Marcell Ozuna just hit a 2-run home run, so that's a ton of fun. We don't broadcast the games because we are not Bally Sports, because that's illegal. So anyone who decides to broadcast games and act like they're, the broadcasters, that is illegal. So I just wanted to make that out there to maybe some people who would do that. When we come back, we're going to take a little take on spring practice. It's going to be a ton of fun. But first, we are going to get a word from one of our local sponsors.
Cook's Place began serving our signature hot dogs in 1985 from a cart on Broadway. We still serve the best hot dogs and scrambled dogs in town at the corner of Moon and Miller Road and at the landings. Our friendly staff won't let you leave hungry. Come in and eat to the beat with our 50s jukebox. Cook's Place, fast service, great people, awesome food. What are you waiting for?
We're back here. We're going to talk some more things. We are going to head across the Chattahoochee River over to the Plains. And Will, the latest from the Plains. Tell me first. We got a little couple things for you. What's the latest from Auburn spring practice? I know they got A-Day coming up, but what any rumblings coming out of Jordan-Hare?
Yeah, big news. Big news. Ham Newton, J.J. Pegues. Ham Newton is no more. J.J. Pegues has moved to defensive line. He's moved to defensive end. And I think this was his first week there, and he's already getting glowing reviews from Nick Eason, the defensive line coach. Got a shout out from Brian Harsin, the head coach. And the talk is that this move for Pegues is big for him long term. It's going to help Auburn in the short term. And he said he got to speak to the media, and he said, "I'll do whatever they ask me to do to help this team win games." And you look at the tight end room at Auburn; they got some depth. Luke Dill, Tyler Fromm, they got some guys there that can play really well. And we saw Pegues last year, just the freak athlete that he is, as big as he is. But he's making that move defensive line. Be interesting to see, does he have that killer instinct that you got to have to play defense? It sounds like he does, because he's getting rave reviews. So that's the big news right now is J.J. Pegues, defensive lineman.
That would really add a bolster if he can really – I mean, it's going to be a lot, obviously, to ask a guy. This is a great tidbit right here. I saw – it's not mine. I didn't come up with it. I saw this on Twitter. He's getting compared to Jay Ratliff. I don't know if y'all remember Jay Ratliff. He started out in college as an oversized tight end. He moved to defensive tackle and went on to be a Pro Bowler in the NFL. So, maybe Pegues, if Pegues can do that, I mean, even better. I do think he will help Auburn win more games playing defensive line than he will tight end or fullback, even though it'd be much more fun to see him playing on offense. But I think long-term he is a better fit on defense. He probably – could make an impact. And like I was about to say, you have that comparison. Will, is it too much to ask for him to make this massive impact to jump like all AASEC second team? Like, I don't expect that, but he could be a key contributor on the defense front.
Yeah, he's probably going to play a lot of defensive tackle just because of his size. He does have the speed, so I think he could play on the defensive end. But, Auburn's going to be playing a lot of 3-4 this year for the first time, so I think he'll kind of be that guy in the middle, that nose tackle, defensive tackle. And he's probably just going to plug holes, but he does have the speed, so I think he can blow up a ton of plays in the backfield.
Yeah, I think having that ability, that explosiveness on the offensive side could translate to be a real weapon for them. Let's go over to Auburn Arena because Tiger Hoops got some big time, and Bruce Pearl made a big-time addition. Walker Kessler from the state of Georgia. Bruce Pearl recruits the state of Georgia very well, Will, and this is a massive get. The big man in Walker Kessler. I want to set you up for this one because, I cover Georgia Tech, but I am fond of, obviously, North Carolina basketball. And Walker Kessler was a player that later on in the season started to dominate. North Carolina, obviously, with Roy Williams retiring, they have themselves in a tough situation. They still have some talented big guys. But Walker Kessler makes a decision to come a little bit closer to home, we'll say. He's going to play at Auburn. And I'm going to tell you one thing. This is really, really exciting. I saw a tweet, and I replied to it, said this is going to make Auburn and Alabama's basketball rivalry even more fun next season because you add Kessler to the recruiting class, Will. I mean, this is a great setup for Auburn heading into 2021 season.
Yeah, I've already caught some flack saying that Auburn's going to be a Final Four team next year.
But Will, I want to say that you are no stranger to saying things that may catch a lot of flack. So let's just let the viewers know that you will throw out the hot takes. So it's okay, but go ahead.
Hey, just look at the talent Auburn's got. Auburn's bringing in Wendell Green from Eastern Kentucky, point guard. He's drawn a lot of comparisons to Jared Harper. Bringing in Zep Jasper from College of Charleston, another guard, can probably play a lot of point guard. Bringing in 4-star shooting guard Trey Alexander. JT Thor, I know he's testing the NBA draft waters, but I think he'll come back. Jabari Smith coming in, the highest rated recruit in Auburn basketball history. Yeah, there you go, Zach.
There you go.
Jabari Smith, Zach. Walker Kessler. The two of them can do it all. You add Walker Kessler, Jalen Williams will be back. So Auburn is looking really good to make a deep run. And I want to read this tweet from a guy that we all like, Justin Ferguson of the Auburn Observer. He says, according to the 24/7 composite, Sharif Cooper was the highest-rated signee in Auburn basketball history. He leaves this offseason, and Auburn adds two players with even higher recruiting ratings. Number one, Jabari Smith, 0.9985. Number 2, Walker Kessler, 0.9923. Number 3, Sharif Cooper, 0.9920. All from the state of Georgia, by the way, as Pete makes an appearance. He's excited. Pete's excited to see Auburn in the Final Four. He wasn't around when Auburn made it last time. But you said Bruce Pearl just picking from Georgia. And Palmer can probably talk a little bit about how Georgia handled, or you could say mishandled, Walker Kessler because he is a Georgia legacy. So this is this beyond just the player that he is and what he helps Auburn. It's just kind of another stick at Georgia as they try to rebuild their basketball program to get up to the heights that Auburn and Alabama have gotten to.
But before we get to Palmer, I want to say, what are your expectations for A-Day? Obviously, there's a view from the players. They've said, hey, this playbook's it's complex. I mean, it's different. Yeah. It's different what we've run before. This, to me, you and I had a conversation about this. Spring games are often a chance to show off some things. This is really almost going to be just an extension of a practice, I feel like, for Auburn to really try to nail down some of this schematic stuff. Would you agree on the offensive side?
Without a doubt. The offense has struggled mightily during spring practice. First team, second team, third team. Brian Harsin said it time and again that, and they're making the same mistakes. So he's starting to get a little frustrated. He's wanting to make new mistakes, fix the old ones. So the offense is probably not going to look good. Going to be base offense stuff. Probably a lot under center because Auburn hasn't done that a whole lot lately. And the defenses will probably dominate like they have all spring practice. The last scrimmage they had, I think Brian Harsin said the defense scored. I think he said multiple. I don't think he said the number. Defense scored multiple touchdowns, had some pick sixes, some fumbles. So the defense is flying around. The defense, at least in spring, looks like it's going to be a strength for Auburn, and we'll probably get to see that on A-Day.
We'll get to see that on A-Day. We're going to welcome Palmer Toms into the show. Palmer, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Palmer, you've been sitting in the background, so I'll ask you real quick because you didn't get to answer the question. What is a movie that you could constantly watch over and over again?
Oh, well, I did answer it. It was.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry.
Caddyshack.
Yes. I'm sorry. I got a lot of things going on. I can't even unmute myself sometimes. So, yeah, we got to worry about that. But, Palmer, give me the latest because we're going to walk through a lot of different things that are happening on UGA's campus, starting with football. You had a fantastic text to me about a week or two ago when George Pickens went down, and you kind of ran through some options. What is the latest from spring practice as Georgia gets ready for G-Day this weekend?
Well, Georgia fans are ready to put all the wide receivers in bubble wrap given the injuries that George Pickens suffered. Jermaine Burton suffered a little bit of an injury. Arian Smith also got dinged up. And I think there's been a couple others. Kirby's been pretty quiet about on the injury front when it comes to receivers. I think that's, you were just talking about the expectations for A-Day. I think for G-Day, I think Georgia fans are looking forward to seeing some of these wide receivers that are going to be stepping up and filling the shoes of George Pickens. And I think there's a lot of excitement about this tight end room with, John Fitzpatrick coming back. He's been around the program for a while. Darnell Washington, he's a mammoth of a human being. And I'm not sure that there's any defenders that are going to want to tackle him this coming season. And then adding Brock Bowers to that mix. I think there's a lot of excitement about this offense, even without George Pickens.
Yeah, that kind of answers the question from our friend Rack Willie here, who places Pickens as the new primary target. It's going to be by committee, I feel like, because obviously George Pickens is a big talent. And Palmer, I ask you this before we get to kind of the next sport in Athens. Does George Pickens take advantage and work hard? Obviously he's going to work hard, but does he do the full rehab in Athens and then – let's say move on to the draft come next April? I mean, is that a real option for him going forward, or could you see him staying for a senior with maybe a little bit more to prove from a maturity standpoint or some skill-based stuff?
I think we've probably seen George Pickens play his last snap in red and black between the hedges. I think he is a player that has done so much and is so just naturally gifted that he can continue to do so much at the next level. I would guess that we've probably seen his last snap, but I think Georgia fans are really, really hoping that, given the timing of this injury and, you look at previous injuries, ACL injuries around college football, Will would know this one, the injuries that Auburn suffered with the ACL in 2018, I believe, to Will Hastings and Eli Stove. Both those guys tore their ACL and were back by mid-season. You look at Clemson and was it Amari Rogers that tore his ACL?
I think so. Yeah.
He was back for the second game of the season. There's some hope that with the timing of this injury, Georgia fans could see George Pickens, but I would not count on it.
We're not counting. I got another question for you, and we are not going to answer this one, but it does amuse me. Does Georgia make a late push for Andrew Ray? Those who may not be familiar with who Andrew Ray is, he is a Georgia fan. Does he grace Twitter anymore, Palmer?
He hit the transfer portal and headed to Alabama. He's an Alabama fan now.
He's an Alabama fan. Very, very, we're just going to leave that one there.
That ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed. Thank the Lord for Georgia fans all around. One of the big stories of this past year. Let's take a walk over to Stegman Coliseum. They finally got the upgrades about 3 or 4 years ago, and they got themselves a Jumbotron. So they finally came into the new age. But, the house that Kenny Paul-Gino built, UGA's been busy in the portal. Obviously, this offseason, they've lost a lot, and they have gained a lot. How do you feel like, by addition or subtraction, is Georgia in the positive here, or are they in the negative with what they lost and kind of what they added?
I would say they're probably about the same. The biggest area of concern last season was absolutely in the front court, and Georgia, not having anybody really of size to match up against some of these bigger teams. Obviously Auburn, with adding Walker Kessler, they're going to be, a force to be reckoned with. Will thinks they're going to the Final Four. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think they're going to be a really strong SEC team. And you look around the league this past year, there's been plenty of other examples. Georgia added Braylon Bridges from University of Illinois Chicago. He's a 6'10", 235-pound redshirt. I guess he'll be in his COVID year of eligibility. He's from Atlanta, played at Union Grove. So coming back to the Peach State, I think that's something that's exciting to him and definitely exciting to Georgia fans to get some size there. But other than that, he was a guy that committed to Georgia, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But the last 48, 72 hours have been chaotic for Georgia in the portal. They added Jalen Ingram, who is also a Athens area native guy, out of Madison, Georgia, 6'7", 215 pounds, formerly played at Florida Atlantic, and he was the 6th leading scorer for the Owls, a proven scorer, a collegiate scorer, and I think he's going to add a lot to Georgia. You could see him potentially slide into the same role that P.J. Horn played this past season. There's no guarantee that Horn is gone, but regardless, Ingram is going to be a threat to that spot. Averaged 12.4 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game last season at FAU. Next, they went to Virginia and added Jabri Abdur-Rahim, and I probably butchered that last name.
No, you got it, man. You got it.
Okay, good. But he's a really talented kid. Was the number 38 recruit coming out of high school per the 247 Sports Composite, number 6 small forward, number 2 player out of the state of New Jersey. Played at Blair Academy up there, and didn't have the best of his freshman seasons, but looking at doing some research on what Virginia fans were saying, it was kind of a redshirt year for him. He suffered an injury 2 games into his senior year of high school at Blair Academy, and at that time he was averaging over 30 points a game. And so obviously that was an injury shortened season, but you look at what he'd done years previous to that, led Blair to a 28-3 record in the state championship, averaging 16 points, 8 rebounds a game, was Gatorade Player of the Year in New Jersey. He is absolutely a talented player. Virginia doesn't recruit slouches up there. They've got a basketball program, and that's on par with a lot of the blue bloods. At least recently, and so
like in Auburn.
Okay,
right. To get a player from Virginia is noteworthy in the least. And then finally, late last night, they added Noah Bauman out of Phoenix, Arizona, transferring from USC. This will be his 3rd stop. And I got the pleasure of talking with him earlier today. He's a three-point shooter through and through. Shot 45.5% 2 seasons ago, 46% the year before. His that 45.5% was 8th best in the NCAA that season. He made, I think it was like 81 threes that year. That is something that Georgia has not seen in a long time, a three-point shooting threat like that. Probably got to go back to J.J. Frazier. Georgia's had some streaky shooters, Tyree Crump, Anthony Edwards. But, to have a consistent three-point threat like that is something that Georgia's absolutely going to need. He didn't have a great season at USC this past year, but, he would be the first to admit it that, it wasn't the right situation for him. He was, more of a spot up in the corner guy and with the Trojans. And in his previous years, he was moving around the three-point line. So he's looking forward to getting here to Athens. Movement off the ball is something that Tom Crean is always preaching. And I think Bauman's going to fit in really well with the Bulldogs.
Going back to Abdur Rahim, for those Georgia basketball fans that may say, hey, that last name sounds familiar. Amir Abdur Rahim is his uncle, who was the assistant coach under Crean in the first year, and now he's over at Kennesaw State. And then his father played in the NBA for a while. He's actually the G League president, Sharif Abdur Rahim. So he does have that basketball pedigree going for him. We have some fantastic comments from your guy, Bonsai Tree Guy 1. I'm not going to put them up there because they are just well, I will ask this. I'm not going to put the question up there, but the question does read, how big of an impact do you think Jackson Eder can continue to make? This is a guy who was a hustle guy. I mean, I'm telling you one thing. If you watch Georgia basketball long enough this season, Eder made an impact the more minutes he got. Just real quickly for Jackson Eder fans out there, how do you feel about that?
He earned his minutes going forward. I think the impact that he had, especially defensively, kind of given that gritty effort, guarding some of the better guarding some of the better guards in the league. Sharif Cooper, to name one, helped shut him down in a big win for Georgia there. That is he's a guy that's going to continue to have a role regardless of who Georgia brings in from the transfer portal.
I can tell that Will's getting very, very comfortable on this show because every time someone says something bad about Auburn, he refuses to believe it.
No. Let me explain. I'm one for unpopular opinions, and I know this will probably be unpopular. Sharif Cooper wasn't that good. He wasn't that good.
Oh.
I mean, he could handle the ball. He was fast. He could pass. But you saw how teams started playing him. They were 4 feet inside the three-point line, taking away the passing lane into the post or a guy cutting. So,
and
had Auburn had another guard that could have handled it, I think they could have been more competitive and not fallen off down the stretch like they did. But Auburn just didn't have that depth. But Sharif Cooper at times was a liability because he'd force passes and he going inside. He struggled to finish. I don't know. Sharif Cooper's a great basketball player, and I think he'll get better as he goes along. I think he should have came back to Auburn for another year to try to develop that shot. But I don't know.
Well, I'm just going to throw this up here.
What is this?
How many recruiting violations will Bruce Perrell commit next year?
Who is Bruce Perrell?
Well, probably because the program will continue to be in peril if he does not stop this.
Auburn A&M.
Amazing.
How many recruiting violations has he committed at Auburn already?
Let's just leave it. Let's leave it alone. You may need to start your own podcast. Let's go to the Diamond Dogs because Georgia takes a big series against Vanderbilt. Palmer, I know you kind of talk about their baseball coverage. This was probably the best Georgia's played all year. I mean, obviously Vanderbilt has their Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, but Leiter was matched by Ryan Webb, who has been a kind of early in his career. And correct me if I'm wrong, Palmer. Ryan Webb was kind of a late inning guy, and now he's kind of made that transition to the starting rotation. What did you see this weekend that maybe could propel, maybe give Georgia some confidence? Because anytime you go up to Nashville and take 2 out of 3 from a team like Vanderbilt, one of the top teams, if not one of the best team in the country, this bodes well for giving them confidence the rest of their SEC slate.
There is no probably about it. That is absolutely the best that Georgia's played all season. I think the biggest difference is that the bats came alive. You've seen that kind of pitching from Georgia, especially like you mentioned, Ryan Webb and Jonathan Cannon. They've put up some good performances for Georgia so far this season, but they haven't had the run support to maybe get a decision or even a win. You look at Cannon's record; he's 2-2 on the year, but has pitched much better than that. Georgia puts up 14 runs on Kumar Rocker and Vanderbilt on Thursday night, the opening game of that series. Hit 7 home runs, including 4 in the 9th inning alone. Those were not off Rocker, but the previous 3 were. And you look back at how many home runs Kumar had given up in his collegiate career. It was just 2. He'd given up 2 home runs, and I think it was like 152 innings, and he gave up 3 in 6 innings of work against Georgia. That's some power that we haven't seen from the Bulldogs this season. They followed it up with 9 runs on Sunday in a 9-1 win there. Cannon went 7 innings, struck out a bunch of batters, and absolutely one of the better performances, probably the best performance we've seen, at least from a full weekend. The best performance we've seen from Georgia, even though they didn't come away with the sweep. Friday night was a game that they absolutely could have won. They were in it there late, and the Bulldogs are up right now 9-2 in the bottom of the 7th on Georgia State. So they're cruising to another win here with Kentucky on deck this weekend.
You're muted, Bryce.
Georgia baseball, though, is obviously trending upwards. And listen, you want to take any type of momentum you can into Hoover Met over there in Birmingham where the SEC tournament is played, because if you can, you never know what could happen. It's kind of like the basketball thing. You win yourself a couple games, you really put yourself in a strong position. We appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to talk to you afterwards, and we'll keep you backstage. But, Palmer, we do appreciate it, man, and you will be covering so people can follow you the spring game this weekend, correct?
Yes, I will be in Sanford Stadium covering that game, getting lucky to get a press credential, so you can keep up with my work this weekend covering G-Day on Twitter at Palmer Toms and over on Dogs 247.
I've got to ask you this real quick because we'll go over a little bit of time just for this right here. Greenhouse UGA, those fans who obviously know what the Greenhouse is, they know it's a big part of Georgia baseball and the tradition. How big of an impact this season have you seen Kudzu Hill have on the success of Georgia baseball? Because obviously with a limited amount of fans, this has really provided a boost from the players. Have they talked about, some of the players, what it's like having fans and having them, be rowdy and engaged in the ball games?
Oh, they love the student support. I mean, I remember that opening weekend against Evansville. One of the right fielder dropped a pop fly to him. Tonight there was even a Georgia State right fielder who dropped a fly ball to him. It's a big impact. And you look around college baseball, the impact of having fans in the stadium. I know Ole Miss broke records this past weekend. I think they had 2 top 5 attendance records on back-to-back nights. Broke the overall weekend record for Oxford down there. College baseball fans, especially students, can have a big impact on a game, and I think you're seeing that more so this season than ever with the limited attendance in the stands.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and we appreciate the Vandy fans tuning into the show as well. But we appreciate you being on the show, Palmer. We will talk to you little post-show conversations that I know we always enjoy. So we'll keep you backstage for a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Palmer Toms with Dogs 24/7.
Thank you for not asking me about Auburn baseball.
Yeah, well, you're the one that just brought it up.
Although tonight would be a good time to talk about it because Auburn's up 5-2 on Bryce's Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, that is a.
And Stephen Williams continues to rake in Atlanta. Remember 2 years ago had the big home run that put Auburn through to the Super Regional at Georgia Tech, and he hit another home run tonight. So we'll see if Auburn can hold on and win because their bullpen has been pretty bad.
Pretty bad. If you're interested in advertising your business on a show, email us at thecreditabooth@gmail.com. We've got all that. We can send it out to you as we become more and more Columbus's sports talk show because, hey, we don't have one here in Columbus. We'd like to become that. So, guys, speaking of that and Columbus's sports talk show, we're going to get to our final thoughts here because it's a big one. Columbus Chattahoochee today unveiled their uniforms. They're playing the summer baseball, collegiate summer baseball. Guys, first off, it's going to be fantastic to have baseball back in the city of Columbus, back where it belongs. Columbus has long known as a baseball town with a fantastic little league and high school play across the state. Guys, did you get a look at the uniforms? Because we're going to show them. Did you get a look at the uniforms? Ralph did. I may take him off the show for this because he is going to be in, he might not like, he doesn't like them. But right here, we're going to go with the uniform. So first, we're going with the home. I'm guessing they're going to wear these for at home. I'm not quite sure, but I want to get your takes on them real quick because this is what the Chattahoochee went. And Ralph, this is going to be the home white pinstripes. I love these. Pinstripes to me are a classic look. You got the script. Uniform. So that's going to be their road uniform, actually. Interesting. So they're going to wear white on the road. Maybe that's how their league does it. I think it actually is how they're going to wear, some alternate uniforms at home. But guys, first off, Will, what are your thoughts on the uniform? We know Ralph is not a big fan of pinstripes, he said, but to me, it's a clean look.
I like pinstripes. I'm actually very impressed. I was expecting far worse. I love the attention to detail on the numbers. You got the little longer line on there to kind of look like owl feathers because it looks like, that's the style they're going for. I like them. I think they look good.
It's a great. I think it's a really good uniform. Ralph, you're just not a big fan of pinstripes. Are we correct in that?
It's not just pinstripes. I don't mind pinstripes because we talked about this earlier. I like Vanderbilt's black pinstripe uniforms, and TCU has some good ones too. But I know obviously this is not college baseball. This is summer league baseball for colleges. So I'm not expecting some awesome looking jerseys that these companies are providing for these schools. But this is. It's not a bad look. Like Will said, I was expecting a lot worse.
I hope they don't watch this. Oh, man. All right. We're going to go to the next one.
Look, I wasn't expecting them to come out in something ugly. I didn't know what to expect.
The blue, like an all blue jersey.
That shade of blue. I'm not the biggest fan of that shade of blue. You can definitely overdo it with that shade of blue, and I was worried that they were going to overdo it.
I'm fine with what they did. I'm fine with it. I'm just
So here's the black ones.
This one I like.
I'm not keen on those just because you really can't see the owl logo in the left.
Now, look,
black is not a bad color for a uniform, but in this, you have to have font or a color of font that makes it pop. And for me, this doesn't.
Look, we all know that when they put these on in real life, it could pop much more than it does on the
this is just a Photoshop right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys going to try to make it out to some games this summer? I definitely will. It'd be a ton of fun to watch some baseball back in Golden Park.
I'm sure I will.
Has the schedule come out yet?
Yes. Yeah. It has. Yes, it has.
I'll have to look at the schedule.
All right. Well, we will definitely end the show on that note. Our final thoughts, one of our worst final thoughts of the entire history of the show. But we appreciate everyone watching, and thank you for watching. Make sure to stay tuned. And, Zach, I did see your comment. We're going to have a conversation about that on Thursday because I think it's fantastic leading into what we're talking about. But we appreciate everyone for watching, and have a fantastic night.